All right, it's time for Political Roundtable on mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Saheed Fuhad, the show where we look at the major issues in the political space. It's been a very wet day in the city of Lagos. A lot of disruptions as far as movement around the city of Lagos is concerned. A lot of places are currently flooded, even though it has been predicted that the Ember month will be coming with heavy downpour. So one should expect that this is an early Ember month downpour in the city of Lagos. It's been rain. I think even from yesterday, the rains have been coming down heavy in different parts of Lagos today, from morning till now. So it was a bit hectic getting to the studio this evening. But that would not stop us from discussing politics on Political Roundtable, mainland 98.3 FM. Barrister 𝗪𝗧𝗪 𝗦𝗪 stuck somewhere in traffic. He said he will be joining us very, very soon. He's close to us in the studio here, so we'll be expecting to see him. Joseph Folorunshor is seated with us already in the studio. 𝗵𝗵𝗁𝗧𝗪 𝗦𝗪 is also with us in the studio this evening. And we're going to make it very fast because there are two issues to look at. One is a developing story. I think the two are actually developing stories. One again to look at our own internal issues here, and the other one to look at a bigger picture of coup plots in different parts of Africa. Why is it becoming something that people are now talking about? You now see people trying to even see it as an alternative to a democratic system of government. We have a number of African countries currently falling to the military junta. But the first issue we'll be looking at, I think we're going to be fast with that, because again, there are updates coming on that. Just as we're preparing for the show, we got updates that the government has planned to meet the Labour Congress tomorrow for talks. I remember that, as a result of the subsidy removal and the lukewarm, like a daicical attitude of the government towards, reducing the suffering of Nigerians as a result of subsidy removal, the Labour Congress rose from their executive meeting on Thursday and announced that they were going to be going on a 2-day warning strike, preceding what is going to be a complete shutdown of the economy sometime in the month of September. So NLC begins nationwide warning strike, on Tuesday. It is to last for Tuesday, Wednesday. And so what we're going to be asking ourselves on the roundtable this evening is if that is a good call by the Labour leaders, this idea of a warning strike. You remember that we had a protest, and after meeting with the government, the Labour leaders had said, they were shelving the idea of going on strike because the government had indicated that some of their demands would now be met. But again, there's a ton of events. The Labour leaders are saying that the government has not shown real willingness to implement all of the resolutions and things of discussion that they've agreed with the government on. So they will be proceeding on a 2-day warning strike, preceding what will become a complete, indefinite and shutdown of the nation's economy. So we're asking ourselves, the Labour leaders, this particular call, is it a very good call? Is it an afterthought? Would it achieve its aims and objectives? Would this particular decision of the Labour Congress, organized Labour, move the government to do the needful? So that's going to be the first issue on the roundtable this week. Like I said, there's an update. I think the Punch newspaper has the update that the federal government has decided that they will be meeting with Labour leaders. Even though the Labour Congress, the organized Labour, is pressing ahead with the Tuesday strike. And what the Labour leaders are still saying is that they are yet to receive any government invitation for tomorrow's meeting. So what Joe Ajero is saying, that this is more like just getting the information from the newspapers, and that nothing is on their table as a form of invitation from the government. So what we have is that Lagos, Sokoto, Abia, others have mobilized workers. Kwara, Bayelsa, other chapters to meet tomorrow to mobilize their members for the Tuesday, Wednesday warning strike. So we're going to talk about that extensively on the show this evening, and we'll be asking ourselves if the Labour leaders have a good idea. Is it a good call? Are they confused? How should they handle this issue? Because I think we may all well agree that the government has been a bit disorganized, uncoordinated in handling the issue of ameliorating the sufferings of Nigerians as a result of the subsidy removal. So that was the first issue on the roundtable this evening. The second one, we're looking at governance in Africa. And we'll be asking ourselves, why is military coup becoming popular again? We grew up in the late 70s, early 80s to early 90s, knowing a lot of military head of states in different parts of Africa. But I think towards the middle of the 90s, towards the end of the 90s, a lot of African countries started embracing democratic systems of government. But suddenly, there's a wave of military coup across Africa. And most of these coup plotters are met with cheers, with celebrations and acceptance by the people of those countries. And we are going to be asking ourselves, what's going on in Africa? Why is it that democracy seems to be a problem in Africa? Is democracy the problem? Are the leaders of Africa the problem? And then is the military system of government the solution again? I think we may all well agree that a lot of military experiments in Africa have not yielded good governance as it is. But why is it that they are now becoming very popular? A very quick rundown. Gabon in 2023 is the latest of the military coup plots in Africa. In Burkina Faso, it was in 2022. In Sudan, it was in 2019. Mali 2020, Niger Republic this year, where it was the major issue. Before we finished talking about it, the one of Gabon happened. And then Chad was in 2021, and then Guinea-Conakry also in 2021. So we're asking ourselves this evening, why is it that military coup is becoming very popular in Africa? What is the problem with governance in Africa? One would expect that democracy, at this time there should be consolidation as far as democratic system of government is concerned in Africa, but that seems not to be the case at this time. So that will be the second issue for consideration on the roundtable this evening, Mainland 98.3 FM. The show is interactive. We're streaming the show live on Facebook, Mainland 98.3 FM. We're also streaming the show live on YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. It's interactive because, of course, you can drop your comments and contributions on the two topics on our Facebook platform and YouTube platform. And be rest assured that I'm going to read all of those comments out today on the show. We're also going to open up our phone lines pretty much later on the show, 0913-6000410, when we start to take contributions. Nuruddin Adegbero, nice to have you in the studio. Wet day in the city of Lagos.
Well, at this particular period of time, we all know that rain will fall. But the only just thing that is constant is that our road are still bad. So, and there is nothing to really show for that. Flood, all those
everywhere,
places, all those places that flood usually, they are still the same way.
Same thing in Africa.
You couldn't even imagine the junction of Maryland, the whole mighty Maryland, with the story of that tunnel, with the story of the overhead bridge. We still have that place being flooded and all of that. Even all those roads we normally used to celebrate in Lagos, they are all gone. Come to Oba-Akran Road.
Well, again, a lot of talk about our darling mega city, Lagos State. Whether it is functional, whether this is what we should have, despite all of the resources available to the state. That will be a discussion for another day. But we've been told by the government that the light rail, the blue rail line, will start to run from tomorrow. So again, maybe a very good
when I'm living in Agege
for the first phase. For
when I'm living in Agege, so I will now go.
No, at least for people who live in that axis.
I hope they will not push it this time around.
No, we wait to see. Tomorrow is here already. Joseph Olorunso, nice to have you in the studio. You're looking cool. Is it the rains or some malad don't enter?
No, the situation in Nigeria is making someone to be
just cool and calm. Yeah.
We don't have hurricane here. We don't have
no tornado, no
earthquake.
earthquake.
Earthquake is the human earthquake. Human hurricane.
Now we have.
You didn't plan. It's a side
An
patient.
agency of the same government will now announce there's going to be rain. No,
Go upland. No, say go upland.
You know, already I think about 5 to 6 states in Nigeria are going to be witnessing serious flooding as a result of I think minimum of 6 states who, of course, share some, stretch across the river Benue because of the 𝗪𝗪𝗱𝗪 in Cameroon. That's a situation that we saw last year, and one had thought that there would have been better plans, lessons learned. But again, it is what it is. Unfortunately, we are not proactive. We are only reactive, really. So, but let's go straight to, like I said, Barrister Curtis will join us in the studio. It's very close to us. But the first issue, subsidy removal, NLC begins nationwide warning strike on Tuesday. It's going to be 2 days warning strike, according to Labour leaders, and we're asking ourselves, is that a good call by the Labour leaders? Like we said, it's going to be on the 5th and 6th of September, to protest the failure of the Nigerian government to provide lasting solutions to the challenges caused by fuel subsidy removal. The NLC President Joe Ajaero disclosed this on Friday during a press conference at the Labour House in Abuja. Mr. Ajaero explained that the decision to go on the warning strike was part of the resolutions reached at the NLC National Executive Committee meeting held on Thursday. The union accused the Nigerian government of failure to implement some of its resolutions from its previous meetings. According to Joe Ajaero, NEC in sessions of NLC resolved to embark on a total and indefinite shutdown of the nationwide within 14 working days or 21 days from Friday, until steps are taken by the government to address the excruciating mass suffering and the impoverishment of experience around the country. According to the NLC president, to commence a 2-day warning strike, and then, of course, that is what will precede what is going to be a total shutdown of the economy should the government not yield to really looking for lasting solutions. We already know the demands of the Labour Congress. Minimum wage is top on the list. One of it also is the fact that the government should reconsider the removal of subsidy and plan better. They're also talking about the state of our refineries. They're also talking about the ASU, the monies owed the lecturers. Again, when we talk about organized labor, there are too many demands. The resident doctors have their own demands. The aviation workers also have their own demands. But I think the general demand really from organized labor is the issue of minimum wage and of course, palliatives that would, of course, reduce the sufferings of their members and Nigerians at large as a result of the subsidy removal. Nuruddin, this decision to go on a warning strike, do you think it's a right call? Again, looking at when that same plan was announced in the past, the decision of the government to go to court to stop any form of industrial action, are we going to see that back and forth again? Do you think the Labour Congress is a bit disorganized, is a bit confused as to what to really do as far as the actions of government or the inactions of government are concerned on subsidy removal?
If we look at the history of strike in Nigeria, there is no time that Nigerian Labour Congress or any union for that matter goes on strike. There are demands on the table that the government did not fulfill their own promise. Any time. So any call they make for a strike, Nigerian Labour Congress, TUC, or any other union, they are always at the right side.
Because it's always as a result of failure to meet
it's because of the failure. So, okay, let's take it from here. Let's look at the issue of subsidy. To some certain extent, the Ajaero-led administration has been fair to the federal government.
Been listening to them.
In fact, he has been fair. In fact, he allows his name to be ridiculed.
To be on
because of federal government. Now, since when they sat with them till now, what has happened? Which of the
demand says?
Nothing. Then another thing again is this. The same Labour Congress, the unions and their members, they saw the number of ministers. They saw the money that have been appropriated for them to get cash. They saw the amounts that National Assembly want to get out of the palliative money. They got the allowances and also text messages that was sent by the National Assembly. They also heard of that and they saw that one too.
No, those ones are prayers to their emails.
Okay, the prayers to their email. They saw that one and they had that one too. The allowances they've gotten. Immediately they got to the house. They heard of that. Don't forget that all those members too, they are members of NLC. They saw it. Oh. They have vouchers. Oh. Those people that are going to be sending money to them.
Okay, yes. The admin officers, the operatives are also members. They're also workers. Yeah, I agree.
Those people working in Aso Villa.
So there's nothing to hide from the NLC. Really.
That they know the number of amounts that special advisors, special assistants they are collecting. They are there, oh, and the same worker that are going to work for 35 years, oh, and nothing for them. And let us be fair to ourselves here. Every worker, especially those people working in local government, those ones, they are in the hand of God. The one working with state government, another step forward, they are in the hand of God. Let's not talk about the one of the federal. How many of them their salaries can take home at this particular time? Don't forget, there is increment in transportation. There is increment in prices of foods. There is increment in all those other services.
School fees tomorrow.
No,
people are already having BP tomorrow.
There are a lot of children that will not resume tomorrow. No, that one is certain.
We actually have reports that a lot of parents have now moved their kids to public school.
Even the public school. Is it tomorrow they will not register them? That means those children are going to wait for 1 week. Because you cannot register. And there are some certain states. For you to transfer students from private school to public school, there is no form. If you don't know anybody, you will not get that form. At least I witnessed one last session where there is one particular poor people around. We couldn't get form. We have to be calling politicians to get form for us. So at this particular time now, how did you want the workers to live? And another thing again is that, as of today, you know the popular filling station by lawsuit. You know the number of pumps they have. If they did not open today, it signifies something to you. Tomorrow again, a lot of workers are going to pay for transportation because majority of the key filling stations are not selling. What it means is that, don't forget that we said it last week, we should be warming up for another pump price.
Increment in pump price.
So by the time you have that increment, where are they going to go? Another thing again is this: go and check all those table foods that are mainly for the poor. Where are they again? Garri is now 1.5. Rice is now 800, 850. It depends.
Okay, the Derica.
So because if you are talking of bag, we are taking it like, let's break it down. Then if you are talking about beans, that is more affordable, but don't forget there is no electricity, and at the same time the price of gas has gone up.
So to cook beans is a problem.
I know. Anytime you want to cook beans, majority of those people cook, they will wait for the light, provided that they are not using prepaid meter. If they are using postpaid, it's okay for them. But if you are using prepaid meter, the money you are going to spend to cook it is more than the beans you want to cook. Then another one again is that, look at the issue of, if you have a worker that have 2 kids now, and is collecting the same minimum wage that we are talking about. You know, minimum wage in Nigeria is not 30,000. Everybody knows that. There is no state.
There are states that are not even paying up to 30,000.
There is no state that is paying 30,000. Any officials of any government can ask us that is paying 30,000. We will let them know. What they do is this. There is something we call. What they do is this. They do permutation. They give the list 30,000. You know the rate supposed to grow along that line. They now make it 5. Some places 5% increment. Some 7.5 increment. 10. That is how they did it. They did do it according to that particular. No fixed in that particular region. With the situation of it, I think the NLC is on the right track. I think they are doing the right thing, and I think they should fight to the letter. We don't want to hear a situation. There is nothing wrong sitting with the government. There is nothing wrong. But we don't want a situation in the middle of the night. That's why a lot of Nigerians
don't trust the NLC.
They don't even trust them. So they need to fight to the letter. The workers must get a very good bargaining at this time around. And at the same time, they should not only bargain, they should make sure they coerce the governor. Because those ones, they are rebels in our politics. They are rebels in democratization of Nigeria, and they are rebels also in the issue of payment of minimum wage.
All right, Joseph Folorunsho, a lot that we're still going to talk about. Again, when I see the labor leaders, maybe as a unionist in the past myself, I understand how difficult sometimes it is to go into these negotiations with government. In one breath, you are thinking about the general good of the people. Oh, you want to shut down the economy. On the other side, you have some workers who expect you to perform as a leader of a union. And then you have a government that is also, because again, if you have seen the back and forth with government, you understand that there seems to be some game going on. The government announces this, they meet with them, they promise them, the next thing, nothing has been done. The subsidy committee has not even met. No actionable plan is on the table as we speak. The issue of minimum wage is not yet resolved. So, and members of the organized labor, according to 𝗀𝗧𝗪, are asking him, why are you our leader? You have been negotiating. There's nothing on the table for us. So, again, this idea, this recent announcement by the organized labor, do you think it's the right call? Do you think this is the way to go as far as the labor unions are concerned?
Fuhad, I think to me, the organized labor, we need to question how organized they are. Because you can just say you are organized and your activity may not make you to be an organized person. If 𝗪𝗫𝐶 are not part of the problem, this is just my own personal opinion.
Right.
To me,
NLC
is part of the problem. In fact, they are the number one in the problem of Nigeria. The first thing is this. We all know, I think we have a conversation last week or 2 weeks ago about the challenge of local government.
Yes.
Why can't, if 𝗪𝗫𝐶 want to help Nigeria, not only issue of subsidy, if now that the governor have hold Nigeria on hostage, 𝗪𝗫𝐶 would have said, okay, do you know what? We want to deploy all our strength, all our resources to make sure that we free the local government. Don't
you think they are choosing their battles?
No, by putting pressure on the state governor, you must not
tamper with monies of local government.
Because some of these, 𝗪𝗀𝗪 they call them, they are part of 𝗪𝗫𝐶.
And not
okay. They are part of 𝗪𝗫𝐶. Free the local government from the hand of the governor.
The governors.
You understand? 𝗪𝗫𝐶, I know there was a time 𝗪𝗫𝐶 have a transport service.
Yes.
I know they have a transport service. If they are organized the way they're supposed to be organized, how effective or efficient is that transport service as at today? Because that would have been an alternative for not only their workers, some students and some other people. Then the other one is this. This 𝗪𝗫𝐶 we are talking about, we are now coming to issue of removal of fuel subsidy. 𝗪𝗫𝐶 workers, DPRO, maybe NAPINS, and many of us, they are members in one way or affiliate member of 𝗪𝗫𝐶. What have they been discussing? Tell us the position of our refinery. Tell us why is the DPRO not monitoring the filling station and the rest of them. So what I'm just saying is this. I think 𝗪𝗫𝐶 decide to be deceiving Nigeria by focusing on only the federal government. Fuhad, if you give me opportunity to today and say, Joseph, I want to make you president of Nigeria or governor of Nigeria, I will prefer you to give me governor. Because Nigeria and 𝗪𝗫𝐶 have allowed governor to be...
To just do whatever they want to do. Enjoy.
You just enjoy yourself. We all put pressure on the president or the president. To me, president is not my problem. Let 𝗪𝗫𝐶 leave the president. Let them go to every local government. Former president of Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Buhari, when he entered, he said that the state have a problem. And how many billion that he released for almost all the states?
Yes,
three times.
How did
to bail them out?
How did 𝗪𝗫𝐶 help the federal government to monitor the spending of that money? One person cannot do away with Nigeria money. In the ministry, we have the accounting officer of that ministry. In the state, we have the accountant general of the state, the commissioner for finance, and the rest of them. No money on his own. Money can just on his own develop wing and fly away. So sometimes the problem of Nigeria is part of this 𝗪𝗫𝐶, members of this 𝗪𝗫𝐶, the workers, who will not call the Joe Ajero or 𝗪𝗶𝗃 or any of these. We see that there's mouths touching one money. They want to move one money through one bank.
I agree with you that there's a lot of battle that the NLC should pick up, really, as far as the welfare of workers are concerned and good governance is concerned in Nigeria. A lot of battle, really, that if we continue to list it, we will not leave the show today. That a lot of us ask ourselves, why is it that the Labour Congress is not looking at this side? Why are they not taking up this challenge? Well, let us just let's just give them that excuse and say, well,
it will not work.
That let's just say they are picking their battles and they decided to pick the battle with the government now on the issue of subsidy removal. So let's narrow it down to the issue of subsidy removal and what the government has been able to do, or what the government has not been able to do, to assuage the sufferings, to reduce the sufferings of workers in Nigeria. Again, I just listed some of the demands of the Labour Congress, and I think you can't fault them for demanding increment in minimum wage. I think it's about 200,000.
It's understandable.
They are talking about the fact that, look, the government should focus on fixing our refineries. They're also talking about the fact that, look, some of the agreements held with some other organized labor should be implemented immediately. So if we limit, let's leave all that.
Okay, let's limit.
Are we saying that the Labour Congress is right now to decide on going on strike? Now, do you think it's a strategy that works?
To me, it is not right.
Okay, so what do you think they should do?
Why I say it is not right? The last minute, I think the last minute when Joe Ajero came out, he said the Port Harcourt refinery will work in, is it December?
No. Some of IPMAN members, yes.
Not government. He is the one. See, they have a very cool discussion. Maybe we just came out. They were the one that was giving us hope that some of the refinery will start working in December. You understand? So, if you now say they are going to strike next tomorrow, what of just some people that they survive by their daily earning? What is your effort to factor in these people?
So what do you think they should do? That's what I'm saying. If we say, because again, you agree with me that one of or probably the most potent tool of the Labour Congress anywhere in the world is to down tool.
Especially to African leaders.
To African leaders, and even all over the world. We've seen strikes happen in the UK, in the US, even in France. That's the most potent weapon. So if we say, going on strike will not resolve any problem, it's a bad call to make at this time. What are the alternatives, really?
To me, the alternative I will say NSC should do is they should help us open the book. Nigeria will know how to fight the battle by ourselves. For example, if we know who is responsible for all these many years subsidy spending and the rest of them, we know that ABC governor involved in so and so. If Nigeria, if for example, Fuhad, if something happened between me and you, Oga is able to know is able to see the whole truth about the whole transaction, you may not need to fight. He will take up the fight and say, Oga, with this calculation, why do you do this? NSC should help Nigeria open the book for us, because their workers are in all the offices. Nigeria, we can even take. They may not know. They may not need to shut down the street. But when people go into social media, we learned that so and so person, you are responsible for this. The person will just, okay, let me return the money. You understand it? But it's a situation whereby they will just go inside, discuss, and come out. They will continue to follow this strike that is not helping us. Nigeria want to fight the battle by themselves without going on strike. Nigeria want to do, because NSC is not this strike will not. Maybe they will say the mother of all strike or the father of all strike. Before Nigeria will go and spend their last money to buy food stuff, maybe around 1 a.m. you now hear a circular that the government have make a move. We decide to give them a time. Then what of the psychological preparation of the person that by tomorrow we are going on strike? So to me, NSC they should organize themselves. Since they are organized labor, they should find a way to be true organized labor by organizing themselves and be systemic in what they are doing.
Okay, well, Barrister 𝗀𝗃 𝗪𝗏 just joined us in the studio. Like I said, they had promised that he was going to join us in the studio. And the first issue that we've been looking at is the decision of the Labour Congress to go on 2 days warning strike, Tuesday, Wednesday, to precede the possibility of shutting down the country completely should the government not, answer to some of their demands. The demands of the Labour Congress is open to everybody. It's something we've always talked about, the issue of minimum wage, the state of our refineries, the sufferings of workers, the handling of palliatives by the government. A lot of demands, really. ASU issue is still there. The Nigerian medical, the doctors are there. A lot really on the table of the government to attend to. And what the Labour Congress is saying is that the government has not done anything, really. They've not seen the government yield to anything. So what we're asking ourselves, Barrister 𝗀𝗃, is this a right call to make? Will this solve the problem? Do you think the Labour Congress are on the right path?
Why don't they go on strike straight away?
Okay.
What is the warning about? I mean, they've been warning the same government.
Well, the report we have is that they are already, putting their members together, mobilizing members for the strike.
This is why government do not take labor seriously anymore in this country. What are you warning the government about? the issues that you want to go on strike on are already known to government. You have been engaging with the government and they have not done anything about that same issue. So why are you giving them 2 days warning strike? You are simply going to disrupt lives of those who are already struggling. This is not going to affect the people in government.
So what's the alternative?
So,
because again, you agree with me. I just told Joseph, I told Nuruddin, for me, the most potent weapon of any organized labor anywhere in the world is to down tool, really. So if you say, okay, it's not going to solve any problem, you don't need to warn anybody, what is the alternative? What should, if you are J0, for example,
yes,
what will you do?
Okay, so this is what I've been saying, this is what I've been talking about. You see, we have used the option of strike so frequently, especially with a non-responsive government, like we've had all over the years. You have people go on strike. You know what? Let me tell you the psychology and the mentality of those in government in Nigeria. They believe that an average Nigerian cannot sustain long-term strike because of the economic difficulties. There are people whose incomes are made on daily basis. And so you don't expect that these people will stay on strike. Because if you look at the population of labor, that's organized labor. I mean, how many are there really in terms of the population of Nigeria? So they believe that an average Nigerian who cannot hold out for long will defy labor and soon start going out to the back. Okay, how does labor stop the vehicles that move on the road? The downfall drivers, you know, these are
the
daily,
Okada's and
the
the rest of
Okadas, the people who sell corn, who sell granite, daily people who are grinding daily survivor. So the government understand that. And so that's why they don't take them seriously, because what you are going to find now is that by tomorrow, they'll be moved to settle again.
Yeah, of course, they are already announced that
the
government wants to meet with them tomorrow.
And promises will be made. Meanwhile, the same government at the background will be trying to prepare documents to file in the industrial court to also prevent them from going. So what you find are just constant disruption that are not producing any outcome. Do you understand?
I'm with you.
Now, the last strike was called off. Okay? What did labor achieve from that? What were the look, they just got guarantees from the government.
Government, yes.
You understand? And then they called off the strike. And the same government has done nothing about the guarantees, and so they say they want to go. So, but let me come to, what if I were them, what will I do? Right? I will make a very strong case to Nigerians and let them understand that, look, we're not just happy about disrupting the country, we're not just happy about going on strike. The government is of the view that we cannot sustain long-term strike. All right? And you guys have to understand, like they say in my place, if you do not reject food, hunger will never respect you. You guys have to understand that this fight that we are fighting,
fight to finish.
Is fight to finish is our collective survival. All right? No intimidation, nothing, no matter what. Prepare them psychologically first.
Before going into the battle.
Get them to buy into the whole idea. Own it. Become believers of the process. And then when you go on strike, it will be total. How many of us remember Frank Kokore and his strike? It crippled the entire country. But you have a situation whereby the same labor right now, as soon as they talk about the strike, there's a group of labor,
TUC,
be in Abuja,
divide and rule.
Yes, who will go and just, so the government knows that labor can no longer bite them where it matters. And so these strikes are basically disruption in the lives of an average Nigerian who is fighting for daily survival. So if they want to go on strike, let them look. In 2016, just 2 days before the presidential election, rail workers in America went on strike. They went on strike. In spite of all the appeals to them, they knew what they wanted
To achieve,
Do you know government had to give them what they wanted because of how important rail was for the election?
Yes.
So they should be strategic also.
Not just talking.
Government, Nigerian government has a history. Labour can learn a few things from ASU. And I'm not saying in terms of how ASU has carried out that strike, but how government has disappointed ASU year after year negotiation.
Manipulated them.
2014 agreement is still on the table now.
You have a government that is only serious about itself. Look at the kind of money they're handing over to the state government, all in the name of palliative.
Palliatives, yeah.
3 days ago, the Minister of
Said it's only 2 billion years.
Minister of Finance and Coordination.
Because of inflation.
That's my point.
And you wonder.
When it comes to the ordinary man, then they talk about inflation.
Yeah.
But they appointed 45 ministers and bought all of them new vehicles.
That would not cause inflation.
That will cause inflation.
But it's hypothecals.
Yes, they are buying cars for members
But
of the
to give
National
5 billion
Assembly.
to governors to
You
cause
understand?
inflation.
How much is even 5 billion per state? What
That will,
can
now
they achieve?
that will now trigger inflation.
Only 𝗪𝗵𝘁𝗀𝗧𝗪 will swallow that
5 billion.
5 billion.
The reality is that out of that 5 billion, trust me, not up to 2 billion, we go for the purpose it was actually intended. So I don't understand how these guys process their thoughts and how they act the way they act. So I will be saying to Labour, don't be in a hurry to call this strike. You don't even need to warn them.
Plan.
Sit down, do your planning.
Everything.
Look, reach out to Nigerians. Let them understand.
Right, Sarkozy, I'm going to ask you this because you're also the lawyer in the house here. The government would, like the warning strike or anything, like you said, they can put the books together, get their lawyers to approach the industrial court to stop any form of industrial action. And that was what happened with ASU. It has happened to organized labor. If the government decides to do that ahead of labor, how should labor handle it?
Look, why I will not encourage any group of persons or individuals to disobey validly given order of court. I think we must also understand that there is corruption in the process by which government gets these court orders. Because in a democracy, people have the right to ventilate. People have the right to protest, so long as it's peaceful. You understand? This idea of democracy we practice in Nigeria and some parts of
Where
Africa.
court stops people from downing tools.
Look, listen, I was explaining to somebody yesterday. I said sometimes I cannot wrap my mind around what we do in Africa. They call a meeting in Abuja, right? And they say we're ECOWAS, we're Democrats, we want to protect democracy. Paul Nyasingbe succeeded his father in 2005.
Who has been changing constitution?
And he's still there.
Who have been changing
Do you understand?
constitution?
Macky Sall.
We are going to get there because again, that's the second issue.
The point that I'm... So, you understand? These are sit-tight leaders who are unconstitutional leaders. And they are talking about...
Democracy.
Democracy.
But don't let us jump the gun by start yes.
So, the point I'm trying to make is that, you see, the industrial court also, or the other courts must also appreciate the fact that labor, organized labor, and all Nigerians have the right to protest. It's a constitutionally guaranteed right. And they don't have to do it at the instance of the government. But the same government, when they need the support of some Nigerians, they organize protests like they do in Abuja from time to time. We are supporting this government.
We are supporting this.
They don't need court order. And the government will not go to court.
All right.
Say Fuhad,
yes.
even back to labor issue with what our wonderful lawyer have said. Why not the NSC too? Now, okay, they activate all their workers in the judiciary. Anytime, because that's one of the biggest problems that we have in Nigeria. Anytime government disobey any court order, shut down the court.
That one is part one.
You understand?
Part two. The one that normally paying them, is no-fly zone. You see the one you recall that out of all the union,
immediately aviation workers
just make sure nobody move from from one place to another in the country. Let me tell you one thing. The one of vehicle, they may decide. Some of them we know that they have chopper. Those ones that have whatever. So far there is no fly zone. When there's not going to be worker whatever. Because I discovered that at this particular time, NLC need to be strategic. The call on the strike, I'm with them 100%.
But they must plan better.
They must plan better. It's all those style they normally use. The style of the judiciary they want to be using. Use that ruffle fight and use the corporate style. Thank God that the order, they've made steps to quench that particular order. That one is on one side. Then another one, because the same government, what they normally do is that, how can you be discussing with somebody and you are still filing something against that particular person? This time around, there needs to be these 2 days they want to do. They should be strategic. This one is not a protest. Make sure nobody move from one place to another. Let all of us, the person that is living on daily wages, that person will not die because of that 2 days. And let me tell you one thing, what they are doing it so that that particular person getting wages will be able to get more and will not rely on one person. And no matter how we want to put it, those government workers, we that we are not working with government, there's a rounds that we can do. We can make a rounds here and there. This particular person resume by 8 and leave the office by 3. No other work. And at the end of the day, they what they are collecting cannot take them home. And people want them to just sit down and they should not say anything. And they saw somebody with primary school with O level that is F9 parallel that becomes a councillor that is collecting 470,000, or the one that is in the House of Assembly that cannot even put 2 or 3 sentences together because it's in the House of Assembly is collecting millions, or someone in the House of Representatives that have SSC level. And you want those people that this is their career. And they should just sit down and not say anything.
Let me tell you, a typical Nigerian retiree today draws his or her pension from her children.
Yes.
If you don't have responsible children, you are going to suffer. Really, any retiree in Nigeria.
I lost my uncle in Abuja while waiting on the line to identify himself to be paid his pension after retiring.
After working for over 30-something years.
For 35 years. God. Do you understand? You see, look, there is no family in the country that you cannot find a civil servant from.
Yes.
And they don't consume their income alone.
Yes.
It has a multiplier effect.
Yes.
So when they suffer, we're also suffering.
Yes.
Now, the problem I have is that you find a situation in a country where somebody who has served for 35 years is not guaranteed pension and is not guaranteed gratuity. Do you understand? But you have people who go to serve
for 4 years.
For only 4 or 8 years.
You want to go on recess, they must get something.
When they are going, they pay themselves severance fees.
Severance money for them.
Then they pay themselves pension so heavily on monthly basis. They are guaranteed medical abroad. They are guaranteed vehicles every 3 years. House helps are paid for. Everything is paid for.
And they are built house for them.
And they build house for them. For instance, if you are in Lagos
and
you serve as governor for 8 years, you are entitled to a house in Ikoyi, you are entitled to another house in
Abuja.
So let's tell ourselves the truth. How do they expect the civil service to deliver on their core responsibility to the country when they are not even guaranteed that their take home is enough for them, and that after that they'll be able to get their pensions? Do you understand what I'm saying? And this is why the civil service must wake up. The labor union must wake up. Let them, as they go in to discuss with the president or whoever is presenting the president, they must understand that they are carrying the entire
burden of the nation.
Not just to go there and shake hands, drink coffee, and then come out and say, well, we are happy with what the government has told us, so we will call off the strike tomorrow and watch how they do. Listen, you have been calling off strike and waiting for the government. They have not delivered, and they are not going to deliver now. So if you want to go on strike and get the government to take you for once that you are serious about what you want, and then negotiate truly with you and give Nigerians what they want, this is the time to plan.
But by let me just add something to it. See, some of us were part of Aluta in this school before. You know, some of this school, if students are on strike, you see the vice chancellor or they send the registrar to come and meet the student to talk to them or address them. I want to see if labor is serious. There's nothing wrong if a governor or the president go to labor house to go and say, okay, let me go and meet, take the visit to these people and go appeal to them, discuss. Because if the president or the governor is able to go to, this person is, I think it's for him. You always see them go to governor office or go to president. They came out and say, oh, the government he tried. But the strike that they have now, they already tell the governor that the strike will not work because they say, oh, Lagos, how many states have already mobilized? Well, I think then if you tell me that 5 states are mobilized, I'm a governor, you didn't mention my state, I will call the chairman of NSC in that state, and they will put spinner on what they are doing.
Lagos, Sokoto, Abia, others.
Look, in addition to that, these are governors that love democracy and true federalism so much. They don't understand that in the true federal system, states negotiate with their workers.
They are waiting for the federal government.
Not a centralized
government. But by Sarkozy, for the federal government, again, the president several times have called for patience and demanded for more time.
But why did they not have that patient to the minister?
Yes,
This minister,
so
they have patient for their vehicle.
So
you see,
do we say the government, because you said
patience
yes.
is a virtue.
All right.
But you can only be patient when your condition keeps you alive to be patient. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
You see, a man who has not eaten and who does not see any means of getting food to eat, he cannot be patient. You understand? A child who needs to go to school, school has resumed, the parents cannot afford to pay the school fees.
And I say you should be patient.
Patient till when?
But Barrister Curtis to highlight the sufferings of the people, because as journalists, when we have this information, we need to put it out. A friend's relative was recently admitted into one of the
Unity School.
Not Unity School, public hospitals in Lagos State. And to my mind, I thought that, look, health in Lagos was free.
Free.
I'm just coming.
I hope it's not the one in Ikeja or the one in Mushi.
Wait, just a public government hospital in Lagos.
Okay.
Here. And, the general slogan from our politicians is, oh, health is free, education is free. And Mr. Curtis, within 2 days, they were already clocking close to 300,000 on medical expenses, on payment for admission, drugs. Mr. Curtis.
He was,
Test.
The
Test.
person is even lucky.
He's even lucky.
He got a bed space.
It was even a battle to get a bed space. I'm talking about Lagos.
Let me tell you.
Not any other state.
Please, I will tell you a personal story, but I will not call. I will call the name of the person who died, but I will not call the name of the person. Look, was my friend, senior citizen, retired from Mobile. Her driver, the name is Lati. She called me one Saturday morning. Curtis, please, where are you? My driver is dying. Come. I rushed to her place. The first thing we did, we took Lati to a hospital in our estate in Magodo. On getting there, the hospital said they didn't have oxygen. Meanwhile, he was on one admission before. We now took him to the second hospital where they stabilized him a little bit. Then we went to the Lagos State Hospital across the express where you have that emergency something. We saw an ambulance that was parked there. We wanted the ambulance to come and help him. They said, no, that ambulance is just for demonstration and show. That something like
Nothing
that
is
there.
inside.
Yes, that in fact that we need to call one doctor before we can get permission for them to send an ambulance.
The person is in pain.
We called the doctor. The doctor said, no, that vehicle will not move from there. Gave us the number of somebody to call. Says the head of the unit in charge of all the ambulances. We started calling. No way. Eventually, we got former House of a Rep member from our area, 𝗪𝗵𝘁𝗃 𝗪𝗏, who now called the Commissioner for Health before they sent us an ambulance at about 3 p.m. I'm talking from 10 a.m.
Till 3 p.m.
In between, we rushed him to private hospital where we paid, we asked to deposit 2 million. And when we couldn't raise the money instantly there, they said we have to take him away because his condition was very serious. Eventually, the same 𝗪𝗏 had to call the former Commissioner of Health before they were able to secure us a bed space and ask us to make some deposit. That guy was not taken to his bed before he died, around 7.
By Curtis.
You understand what I'm saying?
The relative of this friend I'm talking about, like you said, because again, I just want us to really, so that people would understand when we are talking about governance, about the sufferings of the people.
What about basic food?
I'm going to get there, because I think recently in the papers it was reported that, look, people are taking their patients away from the hospital, their relatives from the hospital, because they could no longer afford prescription drugs and all of that. Barrister Curtis, before a bed space was gotten for this person, she spent the entire night in the car.
I said
waiting for bed space here in Lagos.
So my elder brother, this one is not that they told me, so could you believe that in this the same Lagos, I have 2 major experiences. My son was taken to Lasut here. The doctor on emergency, the doctor to attend, he said he's going to call specialist. By the time I went there again, after waiting for about 2 hours, let me see what this doctor is doing. Maybe he's attending to another person. He was on Facebook. I did not say anything, no. I just told my wife, put this boy inside the car, let's go. At the end of the day, we got the boy treated in a private hospital. But my elder brother was taken to Luth. Could you believe I have to be calling a lot of people, calling. We could not get a bed space. And at the same time, to get to military hospital. And that is one of the things. one thing there is this: number one, if you don't know anybody in any public hospital, don't take your person there. Number one. Then number two, do you know that in this state hospital there are two emergency wards there, the one for the poor and the one for the rich. The one for the rich is always available. I had my cousin that we took his wife there. We know how much we spent.
Yeah, I know they've created space for people who can pay. But you know, Barrister
And that is the thing.
So you look
Basic
at
amenities.
so you look at the fate of the poor man in the midst of this excruciating poverty.
Let me break it down for
Yes.
you. The poor man lives in a house. He needs to pay rent.
Yes.
He pays. Nobody cares how he
He
pays.
pays, and if he cannot pay,
The landlord throws him out.
he's thrown out. Right now, majority of Nigerians cannot pay their rent because they don't have the funds,
Yes.
and the landlords have also increased their rent. He needs to pay for electricity.
He has to pay through his nose
In
too.
lieu of that, he has to buy fuel to power his generator.
Because there is no light.
Right? There's no light. He cannot afford to buy fuel at 508.
So the generators are not even working
So
again.
generators are not working.
So he has to sleep.
So many people have gone back to their old traditional lantern now, just to be able to see in the night. Now he needs to feed. And
Prices of foodstuff have gone through the roof.
Prices of foodstuff have gone through the roof, right? His children barely survive on 1 meal a day if they can find. Okay? Now he needs to buy drugs if he's sick. The prices of drugs have also gone up.
They'll tell you dollars, and,
Now,
and that's gone up here.
And all the prescription we are having from government is be patient. You understand? Look, what is the purpose of government? Like I wrote, somebody told me, I said, democracy actually means, demos actually mean people.
The people, yes.
Yes.
In the definition of democracy, people, the word people appeared 3 times there, that sentence.
Yes. That
3 times.
That the most important thing there.
If the government is not about the people,
It's about what then?
what is the government about? When we came together as individuals to surrender our rights
To a few people.
to a central government manned by a few people, we are simply saying you have our confidence to manage our
And our
lives.
commonwealth.
Our commonwealth. That's why we make you comfortable. You are not paying rent.
No
you are
tax.
not buying food.
No tax.
Everything is
not
free.
your wives are not buying
Clothings.
clothes or jewelry.
Clothing free.
Allowances here and there for everything.
Nigeria is one of the few countries in the world, and also in Africa, where leaders, including governors, their spouses, everything is provided free of charge for them, and they are still paid. Do you understand? In the United States, for instance, you must have heard it, that the president pays for his food. He pays for his clothes.
Even any visitor that is not official,
If
he pay for it.
the only time he gets to eat free food is when he's hosting a foreign leader and there's a state banquet. Otherwise, he pays. The president cannot have his grown-up children or governors who are adults live in the government house. But here we don't care about all these things. In spite of all this,
They get bogus pensions.
in spite of all this, to just go out of their ways and make life living comfortable, a little for the people. And Nigerians are not people who demand so much. If you see a governor now, just go out and do little thing, everybody will be singing his praise. So what is, and this is why I keep saying that what is the purpose of the democracy that we practice?
So let's go to governance in Africa.
Yes.
Let's just, because again,
But
I think we're already moving towards
yes,
yes.
before the governors in Africa, I was reading one report. You know, 2020 was a very tough year across the world because of COVID-19.
Yes.
Do you know that Sweden is the only country that did not shut down their economy? Despite all the announcements.
Yes.
And I was having a conversation with someone. He said they conclude and say, they don't know if they shut down the economy, how would they activate it? You understand? Okay, they want to face the consequence of whatever happened. Why am I bringing it up? Nigeria government never understand the economy is so fragile, it's so important. It's like a life that you will not allow any conversation with anybody to say, I want to shut down the economy. They don't care.
You know why I will not blame the government on that? There were a lot of countries all over the world that shut down their economy, including the United States, and they're paying dearly for it. Now, the truth of the matter was that nobody understood what COVID was.
So there was that panic.
Yes. And now that we are beginning to understand, if you look at the statistics, I saw a data from the United Kingdom that the years before COVID, the number of people that died 𝗧𝗵𝗲. And then during COVID, the people that died, it's actually not more than those who died before COVID.
So the panic was so unnecessary, really.
You understand what I'm saying? So, but again, this is like quarterbacking. So you played football on Saturday, and on Monday you are thinking what happened,
what could have done better, yes.
Yes, but here is the problem. So long as we do not make governance in Africa about the people, we are going to have disruption. Look at Gabon.
Let's just go to the second issue. Again, we are looking at governance in Africa. It's still Political Roundtable, mainland 98.3 FM. I think the first issue, we've been able to do justice to that. The Labour Congress has announced that, Tuesday, Wednesday, they'll be going on a warning. Well, so
prepare to go on
So you think the warning is just a waste of time?
Somebody wants to fight you. I will fight you. I'll go and fight you.
Okay, all right. So let's leave that. Don't want. Just what you want to do, according to the analyst on the table. So, but the second issue by Mr. Curtis, Nuruddin, Joseph Folorunsho, Africa, in the 70s, early 80s, late 80s, maybe it's early 90s. Coup was the in thing across Africa, but somehow the mid-90s we started to see some, a lot of democracies coming up in different parts of Africa. We also saw elections coming up, and suddenly there's a new wave of coup in different parts of Africa. The recent one has to be that of Gabon, that has now ended the reign of the Bongos, who have been ruling that country from 1967 between father and son. But that's not the only coup d'etat that we've seen in recent time. Apart from Gabon, there's been Burkina Faso, Sudan, Mali, Niger, Chad, and Guinea. And we've seen some more African leaders panicking. Paul Kagame in Rwanda has sacked about 18 generals, retired 18 generals. He has restructured his military formation. Cameroon, Paul Biya. Paul Biya is 90 years. And he's been there since 1982.
Not just that he's 90 years, he doesn't live in Cameroon.
Because he's not.
He lives in Geneva.
So
he has a presidential suite in Hilton, Geneva.
So and it's been packaged.
So
he's brought to the country during national festivities.
And they will pack him left and right.
Mr. Curtis, I saw Ali Bongo's video when he recently visited Macron in France. And Macron was practically holding him up. He was falling off.
Did you see him when he attended the inauguration of King Charles?
Yeah, falling down.
How he head up traffic. People behind him
couldn't walk. So, Mr. Curtis, I'm sure you must have seen this statement by Lord Lugard about Africa and black Africans. At a first glance, if you had read what Lord Lugard said about the ability of the black man to coordinate itself, you say, because he was a colonial master, it's just racism. But if you read all of what Lord Lugard said, as far back as 1914, about Nigeria and the black man, and Africa generally, about how the fact that we love power, we don't understand the responsibilities that come with power, everything about the things that excite us, other than us being responsible to ourselves. But Mr. Curtis, is it that democracy is the problem, or African leaders don't understand what democracy is about?
Okay, so democracy is a system. And every system has got blind spots. But there are ways. You see, look at it. Let me use the example of a car. You have modern cars now that have what they call the blind spot monitors. So as you are driving, you might not see those areas, but your side mirrors can pick the signals of those vehicles and begin to flash on your mirror. So you know that there are vehicles behind and you cannot go. There's also what is called the lane departure monitor. When you go off your lane, the vehicle starts vibrating. Just to put you back. Democracy as a system has got guardrails. It has blind spots, but there are monitors
to maneuver and keep going.
Look, what we have done in Africa is that we just took a system that we don't understand and made it about those in government alone. And let me explain a few things to you about why we're having the problem that we're having
in Africa.
Most African countries became independent and had very strong pro-independent leaders. You go to Togo, you're talking about 𝗪𝗪𝗪.
Yes.
You go to Côte d'Ivoire, you're talking about 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 You know, you go to Gambia, you're talking about Dawda Jawara.
Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, and the rest.
Kwame Nkrumah and all that. But after this generation passed away,
that generation of
firm leaders,
independent
leaders,
nationalists. Yeah.
I mean, Senegal, you have Senghor.
Yeah.
And things began to happen. And I'll give you an example. Look at Togo, for instance. Adam, after governing the country for over close to 40 years.
40 years, yeah.
He died.
His son took over.
The constitution of Togo provided for the speaker to succeed or the vice president. But the army generals pushed all of them aside and brought his son Fall. Fall has been president of Togo since 2005.
Yes.
After the father's death.
Yes.
Who ruled for over 40 years.
Flawed election after flawed election. Even in some places, there were no elections.
And the right results.
And they continue to be in power. Look at Senegal, for instance. Okay, let me even tell about Côte d'Ivoire. After 𝗪𝗺𝗃𝗁 died, the constitution of Côte d'Ivoire clearly specified that the speaker will succeed him. But Boigny did not choose his successor. So the then prime minister, who is now the president, Alassane Ouattara,
yeah.
also fought to be president. But eventually it was the speaker, 𝗵𝗀𝗄𝗏, who became the president. Now, when Bédié became the president, he enacted the law that disqualified Alassane Ouattara from contesting the election, saying his father was from Burkina Faso.
No, not an Ivorian.
Now, as a result of his misgovernance, there was a coup in the country led by General Robert Gueye. Robert Gueye disqualified everybody, allowed only Professor Laurent Gbagbo
to run
with him, thinking that he was unpopular, he couldn't win the election.
He would defeat Gbagbo.
But Gbagbo ended up defeating General Gueye, who didn't want to hand over, and there was a coup that night. He was killed. That was how Gbagbo became president.
And Gbagbo did not want to
Gbagbo, after serving 2 terms,
didn't want to leave.
Didn't want to leave in an election that they lost to Alassane Ouattara.
He said he would not hand over power.
But you know what has happened? The Alassane Ouattara, who benefited
from a democratic process
and from the intervention of leaders all over the world
to make him president,
did you want to leave again?
has now served 2 terms, and he wants to amend the constitution
to run for a third term. Africa.
Look at what is happening in Senegal. Abdoulaye Wade, the old man, didn't want to give up power. Senegalese forced him out and brought in Macky Sall. Macky Sall is amending the constitution now so he can sit tight. Do you understand?
I'm with you.
So these are the people who will gather in Abuja
and condemn coup.
The people who are truncating the wishes of their own people are the ones doing it. So, and all of this, look at Ali Bongo now that we're talking about. Omar Bongo, his father was there for 42 years.
1967, 2009.
And then he took over.
He was even preparing for his own son
to succeed. He was his son,
in Equatorial Guinea. The father is
Basongo,
son is vice president. Playboy in America.
In Equatorial Guinea as we speak.
The boy, Playboy. Look at Ali Bongo's house. Look at how much money they found from his son's house.
Alone.
And you know what? But I like what he said.
Make noise.
And we are making the noise.
We are already making the noise.
It's noise. He said we should make noise.
And we are making noise.
But he said all his friends across the world.
Yeah, they should make noise. No, but he said we should make noise. We are making the noise.
We are making the noise.
The fact is that it's God. Look, and you know this argument that we make. The people say, you know what? Oh, the military are not better. And I said, yes, I agree. But
because of liberty, of course, the liberty, the freedom that comes with it.
Even the freedom
as journalists, of course.
Even the freedom under the democratic setting. Is it different from the one we have?
You see the problem we have right now. And I ask this question, which is worse? Those who rig election, truncate the will of the people, and put themselves in power by force, or those who want to stop them from continuing with that fast?
Pick one.
Which one? Which is worse?
Pick one.
You have to cause.
As a journalist who understands why the freedom of the press is important, I will not choose the other one.
Look, meanwhile,
I would rather complain about the democratic process.
Now, but look, why I will never advocate for a military takeover?
Yeah, because of our experiences.
Because we have seen the destruction that they can bring to a system.
Yes.
But this is what we are practicing is not democracy.
It's not true.
And so we have to significantly tweak this system to serve the people. This whole idea that because we are civilians, either wearing agbada or suit, and that we came in through, Democracy is not about election.
It's not.
I think people must understand it. It's not about holding elections every 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
It's simply giving expression to the desire and the will of the people and playing by the rules, the constitution, the rule of law.
That is the ultimate.
Let's just quickly do a rundown. You have Museveni in Uganda who has spent 37 years. You have
I met a Ugandan who challenged
Museveni to the elections.
Museveni became the year Museveni became president was the year he was born.
And he's challenging him.
Yes, he's challenging him to.
And Museveni does not look like somebody who wants to hand over anytime soon.
No.
The man is still there. We have Teodoro Mbasogo of Equatorial Guinea. Like we just said, the son is the father is president, the son is the vice president. We have Paul Biya of Cameroon, 48 years in power. Like I said, all my life I'd known Paul Biya as the president of Cameroon.
For me, when I was growing up, I thought he happens to be a king.
Then you have Denis Sassou Nguesso of Republic of Congo. He spent 38 years.
It's not much.
Then you have 𝗪𝗪𝗁 of Eritrea, 30 years.
Yes.
Paul Kagame. One would have thought that, Paul Kagame that came in as a leader after the genocide. People have said he's been doing very well. He's been
doing very well has nothing to do with the rule of law.
I have mixed feelings when it comes to
Paul Kagame.
Paul Kagame. And I'll tell you why. Because if you look at what Rwanda went through, the genocide, the disruption to that country and how he's been able to pick up the pieces and try to unite the country.
And then, of course, put it down. Yeah.
And that's why I'm impressed with what he has achieved within that period. But I think that...
So other person in that country cannot do better. He should be the live president.
I think that the rules of the game...
Democracy.
...must be
obeyed.
Yes. I would have loved it more if Paul Kagame had prepared someone to succeed him and then hand over to the person
who prepared him. There are a lot of better people, better than him in that country.
Let me tell you what happened in Singapore. You knew that Lee Kuan Yew governed Singapore with iron hand.
Yes.
Whipped everybody back to line.
He made sure that all his ministers wore white as a sign of purity, that they are pure in their service.
So they are focused to...
Now, when Lee Kuan Yew was going to leave, he took interest in preparing some guys to succeed him. He called them to a meeting and said, look, I'm going to leave. You choose one of you
to succeed me.
The meeting held for some time. They came up with his son, he said. And he said, no. I have every confidence that my son can perform, but I don't want it to look like a dynasty. So look for someone else amongst you. And then they eventually picked one other person, and he accepted and that guy succeeded him. It was that guy, after serving, that now handed over to Lee Kuan Yew's son, who is now the current prime minister, and he's about leaving now.
For a successor.
So Paul Kagame could have done that, raised up somebody, you understand?
Because as it is, after 33 years in power, he sacked some generals as a result of...
No, he doesn't want to go.
He doesn't want to go.
Fuhad, I want to ask one question. Is coup actually an offense or something we forbid? Because the one I'm asking this question is, even here in Nigeria, the last election, almost all the presidential candidates visit, people will know that they even topple government in Nigeria.
Former coup plotters, yeah.
Former coup plotter. If we say we want to follow democratic system, anybody that have planned coup before, there should be a punishment for that person in a democratic system.
Even there are some civilians that they are also coup plotters.
There are some reality checks.
Yeah.
Don't forget that there is no state in Nigeria that was created by a civilian government.
Yes.
All by the military.
I hope you know that.
Yes.
774 local governments were all created by the military government. Now, if you use the measure that you have just talked about, we have no state. Because all their actions, the salaries, the appointees,
become null and
the
void.
appointment, everything will become null and void. Now, one thing that happens is, once a coup is successful, it alters the constitution. So they find their validity in decrees. Not in the constitution. And some of those decrees, of course, have been transported
into our constitution.
Because they are the ones that even prepare the constitution for the civilian regime that will come after them.
I think what we need to do, what Africa needs that we need to have a strong military.
Yes.
The military that can superintend even election.
Yes.
And ensure that the will of the people.
Yes, so that if politicians understand that, look, if we rig this election or our government is not performing,
we have the 𝗁𝗪𝗁𝗁 that can whip us back to line.
They will just, and they are only just an intervention.
Yes.
Not to take over power.
Not to take over power. No. Maybe if they are going to hold on to power, it shouldn't be more than 3 months to conduct another election.
Another election, yes.
If that becomes a corrective intervention, politicians will sit up.
But you know, but Mr. Curtis, people have also talked about our experiences with the military guys. You know, they also come in, the seat-tight syndrome. We've had our experiences with former military leaders. General Babangida came in, the Maradona, he was there for 8 years, dribbling us, eventually handed over to 𝗀𝗃𝗃.
And he ended up dribbling himself.
And then he set aside and all of that, stepped aside. 𝗀𝗃𝗃 came in, a palace school removed him. Abacha came in and messed the whole thing up. That was a military leader. In fact, the guy that has taken over in Gabon now is said to be the cousin of Ali Bongo.
Yes.
And people have said
and
that, well,
very corrupt.
And also very corrupt. There have been reports about the fact that he owns palatial homes in the US. He has a lot of money. He's been in government in France. So there are people who have said that, look, the guy just looked at Ali Bongo. This guy is going, he's frail. Let me find a way to push him aside so that, again, the Bongo dynasty remains in governance. So, again, Mr. Curtis, let me ask you this thing, Rodin and Igbinro. Our politicians, let's just bring it home. I'm going to open the phone lines for anybody listening to us, Mainland 98.3 FM Political Roundtable. We are streaming the show live on Facebook, Mainland 98.3 FM. You can drop your comments and contributions there on our Facebook platform. Be sure that I'm going to read all the comments today. We're going to open the phone lines very, very soon for you to be a part of the show. We're also streaming the show live on YouTube. That's Mainland 98.3 FM. So you can go on our Facebook platform, YouTube platform, and drop your comments there. And like I said, we're going to open the phone lines too very, very soon to start to take your comments and contribution. Nuruddin, let's bring it back home. Just some few days ago, we saw something in Ogun State. Incidentally, we had talked about, on Sunday, our last topic was local government autonomy.
Yes.
And so we're coming with the idea of how governors were stifling local government, how a particular 𝗬𝗏 𝗏𝗏, a local government chairman,
an example of the local government chairman in Benue.
In Benue too,
who also refused to take the amended sum.
The amended sum and all of that. So we're still discussing all of that, and was like, well, this is a good one. If a local government chairman could be that bold to speak out, against what he considers manipulation of the process as far as local government administration is concerned, only for us on Wednesday to get the shocker of our lives.
Yeah. No, I wasn't shocked. I expected it.
18 chairmen supposedly elected to represent local government in Ogun State before cameras were singing and prostrated to greet a governor who sat down there like an emperor. And then, of course, tongue-lashing some of them, making statements, not in any way to explain the allegations against him.
And one of them actually came out to say, I'm not going to take the money.
And one of them came. So, where I'm going to, Nuruddin, is that these are the same leaders we are talking about, who talk about democracy. You agree with me that 𝗃𝗃 at least he's educated. You assume that he's exposed. And it's not limited to him.
What's his level of education? His certificate is still in question.
And before the shows, Nuruddin, we asked the question, who are these guys ruling us? Who are these guys in politics? Can we all agree, Nuruddin, that the worst of us are the ones ruling the best of us? How do we get out of this unfortunate situation for us to entrench democracy properly in Africa?
One thing there is this. I have said this severally. At least we've gotten to this word, especially to this country. There are some certain people that have other country. I grew up to know this country. And at least for now, I don't have any other country apart from this country. And I've read and I've discovered that for any country to develop, you must present your best at the end of affair. And anytime that your best is not at the end of affair, you are going nowhere. With the caliber of people that we have, don't forget, if you look at the 1959 general election, go and see the composition of National Assembly at that particular time. Go and see the caliber of people that were there. When we have 1960 constitution, independent constitution of 1960, look at the caliber of people that we have in the helms of affairs upon using parliamentary system of government.
At that time.
At that time. In 1963, when we have Republican Constitution, look at those people that are handling different regions
at the parliament, and managing the different regions.
And look at what they engineer at that particular time. Now, with what happened in the 𝗃𝗏𝗄𝗏 state, Ogun State.
Just use that as an example.
As an example. And it's not peculiar to his own state. It shows that the reason why we are not developing, even from 1999 till today, that we think democracy is a system of government.
The Fourth Republic, yeah.
We discover that with the way we are having these people in the helms of affairs, they are our worst. And that's why you see a governor that is certificates. You are going to see a presidential candidate, his certificate will be problem. We will see some that will be talking about WAEC of a governorship candidate.
It's simply as WAEC certificate is a problem.
And that is a problem. And another thing again is this. If you look at their composition, what they say, when you interview them, we interview some certain politicians.
And you shake your head.
You will shake your head that I know a particular senator that have been in the Senate for 3 tenure. He doesn't know the meaning of cross-carpeting.
Maybe he has never cross-carpet before.
He didn't know the meaning of if you have somebody that has been in the Senate for 12 years. So it shows. Another thing again is this. For us to move forward.
Oh my goodness.
If we are still having, and this one is still minus to Nigerians too. For Nigerians that do collect 1 Congo of rice, 1 Congo of garri, Baba 𝗪𝗏 Ankara, you go and dance for them. And now you shut your mouth when it's now boomeranging now. For us to move forward, we must do 5 things. If we don't do 5 things, number 1, we must shift our attitude in putting some people forward. If we continue with the same line that we are going, I'm telling you, Yoruba used to say, 𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗏. We are going to use the previous government, praising them, and we are going to talk lashing the present one. When this one also go, the one that will also come too, we are going to use in the past president.
Let me say, God forbid.
If we one thing there is that you are writing the same way. You are attempting the same script. You are going to get the same answer. Another one is the rule of law. One of the things I do tell people when they say military, whether we like it or not, let us go and look at the system of government. Military, totalitarianism, authoritarianism is a system of government. The only difference is that when the rule of law is upheld, but in a democratic setting where the rule of law is not proposed, is not the same thing like a military. It's the same thing. A situation in which a court who has the government to release somebody, or you put somebody in your custody for 45 days without charging that person, when the same constitution said you cannot hold that person beyond 24 hours.
Or maximum 48 hours.
Automatically. So, another thing again is that we've seen a situation in which a state high court of appeal have released somebody, and we still have politicians in government that will not release that kind of person. So if we go in that particular line, I'm telling you, whatever we want to say, if we like, we should go and bring, we have Edun as a finance minister, we should go and bring any people we want to bring. If we still have majority of these our leaders that we have, I'm telling you. Then another one that is so important is one of the things that we need to know. If our election is not free and fair, let me tell you one thing that people don't know, that one of the things of this our democracy that is throwing up this kind of people that we have in the affairs, if our election is not free and fair,
we continue to have this kind of people.
I'm telling you, we are still going to be having this same of people. And when we have this same of people, I'm telling you, we are not moving anything. Shouldn't they release 2 billion now? Let us see where 2 billion is going to.
No, I mean, we'll share rights. What's the way forward, really? Because I want democracy. Okay. We all love democracy. We understand how democracy has worked from some other nations, and we expect that it should work for Africa and Nigeria. Why is it not working? How do we get it to work?
Okay, so I think some few days ago, Buba Galadima, you know him?
Yeah. Very popular Buba Galadima.
Yeah, he was asked.
I think he's a member of the NNPP now.
Yeah, NNPP.
He's the NNPP.
He was asked a question how he felt about Nigeria, and he said, "I'm frustrated because I'm in my 70s, and I'd expected to see a new Nigeria,
and
I'm not going to see a new Nigeria from what I'm seeing, and I'm frustrated." And then he said, You know, the system that we have ensures that only bad people succeed in this country. Only bad people. You go to the election, they know their ways through the system to beat the system and they get to power. In the economy, they know how to beat their...
They planted their guys there.
And what he said, you don't have to agree with him, but that's the reality. We have just one system that has different divisions.
Yes.
They have their representatives in the military, they have their representatives in the religious sector.
In the business world.
Whatever they do, those groups will come out and praise them. They are politicians. Now, but specifically to your question, how do we get the worst of us to rule us? No, I will not agree with you that what we have are the worst of us.
Okay.
What we have are the best that represents our value.
So what we are.
Yes. The people, yes.
Now I'm not bad.
Listen, but you when you put the totality in a basket.
So because we need to really,
Yes. You know, when you get
be specific.
You see, Nigeria does not lack good people.
All right.
But they don't have good people in sufficient number to alter the landscape.
So do we all agree that we are bad?
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. Good people don't elect bad people into offices.
So
And
bad people elect bad people.
And I understand listen, I understand people forcing themselves on the people sometimes. But the truth of the matter is that Nigeria is one country where voters do not even think about their interests. They think about their religion and about their
ethnicity and, you know.
The core issues are not looked at all.
Yes.
You don't find good people elect bad people anywhere in the world. The people that you see in our government represents our predominant values. I'm telling you this, and people can argue till tomorrow.
Because we didn't import any of these leaders from Mars or
from the moon.
They are Nigerians too.
I understand that leadership plays a critical and crucial role in any nation. Nations rises or falls with leaders.
People pull nations up.
Yes. One leader who understands what he needs. We just mentioned
Lee Kuan
Yew. When Lee Kuan Yew took over, you know that in Singapore, you cannot walk on the road and spit on the ground. You cannot eat chewing gum.
He built the consciousness of the people to that level.
The man built super housing for billionaires. But in those houses, he also created spaces for the poor.
For the middle class and the poor to thrive.
When he was asked, why did he do that? He said, unless you put them together, the poor will never learn the way of the rich. He built hospitals, 5-star hospitals, as they were described. The rich can take a whole room for their wives to deliver.
But the poor will also get the best service.
You can put 2 or 3 together poor, but they'll get the same doctor.
The same service.
And he said the rich will have to pay for the poor.
As it's supposed to be.
It is a matter of attitude. Do you understand? Now, why and how do we move out of this? We have to have ethical leadership. Ethical leadership. Those who will come. Look, the United States was a constructed country.
By people.
People sat down and they said, look, we needed a country of our own.
This is how we want it to be.
And we want that country to be different from the United Kingdom.
And to be the most powerful in the world.
That used to be our masters. So they sat down in Philadelphia for so many days. You heard people like Hamilton and all that. And they kept trashing issues. They built system. They made concessions. Because they said they needed to live for causes.
Not about themselves.
Than themselves. Even if you look at how states, because when they started initially, there were not 50 states.
Yes.
They started, I think, with about 13 or 14 states.
Yes.
And over the years,
new states kept emerging.
Look at the state of Utah, for instance. I think Utah joined in 1890 or 1896 or thereabout. What was significant about Utah was that Utah already came to the federation with a constitution that recognizes the right of women to vote.
When they didn't have it at that time.
When they didn't have it in the United States. And so when the other states say they are not going to allow them, they say, well, if you don't give us that concession, we will not join
the union.
And that was how women were allowed to vote by the 19th Amendment in the United States. Why? People chose to live for causes greater than themselves. The struggle we have in Nigeria is that people go into public offices with the mindset that they are first there to defend and protect their self-interest before they think of that of the nation. You understand?
Now with you.
Last week, we saw how ministers were sworn in. And you see across various ministries, You saw the initial gra-gra.
Gra, yes.
I saw the minister
Everybody
of
has calmed down now.
Interior saying, oh, you know, why should the Nigerian wait for 1 month to get his passport? Listen, if you're not going to do this job, you better clear.
Talk is cheap.
There's a new sheriff in town.
Well, we are watching. The point is that Nigerians need to sit down and ask themselves, why are we electing the people that we elect to power to govern us? And what is it that they do differently from us? Because you see, until you can throw up people who knows better than you, who understands better than you, who will do it better than you, you will never move forward.
Yes.
Because it is a race to the bottom. We are all running to the rabbit hole.
As it is.
Yes. And that's what we keep doing. So we change one group of people, we get worse outcome. I've seen a handle now. What is it called? A tag now. Bring back Buhari.
God forbid bad thing.
I'm telling you, it's already happened.
I don't know how that came out of my mouth. It's spontaneous thing. Let's make it very fast. Now I can open the phone lines. Again, Political Roundtable Mainland 90.3 FM. We're streaming the show live. You can drop your comments and contributions on our Facebook platform and YouTube platform. I'm going to open the phone line at exactly 7:30.
I think
Joseph Olorunsho.
Yeah, first thing.
How do we get democracy to work for us?
It's going to be very, very tough. Why I say it's going to be, we need to have a change of heart.
All
There's a man that makes me every time I wish I can be a VC like him. You know, before Lasso, the rate of people going to Lasso there, Lasso no. But when this man came there, Professor
Fagbon, yeah.
This man went there. It's not live infrastructure. Live infrastructure. But the system, the man went there and changed the system that
put the school
if
back.
you know the rate people are now subscribing to go and to make Lasso,
the legacy
their first choice
is still there.
And at land they say you should go for a second show that you have the opportunity to go for. And the man said no. That let another person come and continue from where I
stopped. Yeah.
What I'm saying is your legacy, your personality, and the name you want to leave for your children. There are some of us, we are fan of Awolowo. If you look at their character, and
you have everybody claim to be an Aoist, even wearing his cap and eyeglasses.
But they are very, very different. So what I'm subscribing is this: if you look at some of all these things, sometimes you say screening. If you want to be a governor or a president, the party will screen you. You understand it? And at the end of all this screening,
they don't screen it.
No, wait. After the screening, you become a governor. How many if they actually screen those people? Now say he doesn't have he doesn't have WAEC. He doesn't know where he come from.
Maybe we screen minister. One of them has not even finished NYSC.
The Minister of Culture and Entertainment went through security screening.
Senate screening.
NYSC certificate.
Post-Senate screening.
DSS screening.
Listen.
So we have to be sincere to ourselves.
And we suddenly discovered that she has not finished NYSC.
I said it here one day. I say it is now that I'm now appreciating what my late grandfather used to say, that for you to wake a person that is pretending to be sleeping,
you are just deceiving yourself.
You are so Nigeria, we know the right thing. We just decide on our own. You know, this Bawa is with some security agency now. Fuhad and Oga, look back. The issue that remove 𝗪𝗵𝘃𝗫 abuse of office, corruption. Waziri, abuse of office, corruption. Lamode, abuse of office, corruption. Magu. Therefore means that, and this is where you say you are fighting corruption. They now remove a person for abuse of office and corruption. There's something that Nigerian government needs to.
Mr. Folosho, none of them have been charged to court.
No.
Or indicted.
Indicted.
I wrote an article one time. I said, Mr. President, if I run into Ibrahim Magu, what should I tell him? Should I say, well done for a job, well done, or you are just a pure criminal? Now, let me tell you something. Something happened in Africa that a lot of us didn't pay attention to. Do you know that when Nelson Mandela served for 27 years in jail, he was in prison for 27 years, he was there with Governor 𝗵𝗵𝘁𝗀𝗵𝗁, the father of 𝗪𝗵𝗵𝘁𝗀.
𝗪𝗵𝗵𝘁.
Now, when Nelson Mandela was released, Nelson Mandela didn't want to be president.
Yes.
He was just, you have to.
Nelson was satisfied that the cries of his people, their aspirations, is beginning to see the light of the
blacks can now,
But when the people met with him, they said, you are going to be the president of
South Africa.
Said, okay, the only way I will be president is if Governor 𝗵𝗃𝗁 agrees to run with me. And Governor said, I'm too old. I don't want to run with you. That's how Thabo 𝗵𝗃𝗁 came.
Yeah.
He brought his son. Now, Mandela had told them, I will run for only
one
term.
term.
Of
And he
5
did.
years. And after that, I will hand over to a younger person. They say, oh, no. Madiba, you have to consolidate. You have to.
He did one time and left, yeah.
He agreed. He kept quiet. When he was in the middle of that first term, he went to the press and announced, I say it's not second term.
So don't bother.
So party leaders ran to him. They said, Madiba. He said, well, but you know I'm not known for going back on my words. I've already announced, and I'm not going back.
A man living for a cause bigger than,
When you do something right, you don't even want to repeat it. 𝗵𝗵𝗁𝗁𝗃𝗃, who won World Cup for France.
France, yeah.
First thing. After winning the World Cup, what did he do?
He resigned.
He resigned.
But I want to change it.
When you have done something of impact, Mandela started the system. You know the South African system.
Of course, yes.
It's a democratic system.
Yes.
But with a button that gives the party power over the candidate.
Over the candidate, yes.
So, Thabo 𝗵𝗃𝗁, as sitting president, was defeated as the leader of the party.
Yes, and push aside.
And once you lose the confidence of the party,
you are out.
even though you are in the parliament, the party can withdraw you by saying you should step down. That's how Cyril Ramaphosa came in place of President.
This one that messed it up completely.
The point you are, like in Nigeria today.
I'm trying to.
In Nigeria today,
we're even struggling to remember him.
The ruling party cannot question the president.
No, the president is the party.
Even at the state level, any party chairman that challenges, in fact,
You are gone.
you can't even be chairman if your governor did not say you should be chairman.
Yes.
Except for Lagos.
You also can't be speaker.
Except for Lagos.
Which is Lagos?
No, the Lagos is the governor.
Not this one now, but we know somewhere. You see, this one
Lagos is different.
This one is a gov. No, it's not.
It's governed.
No, it's gov.
No, and we
No,
said
it's
it.
not
Where is it now?
And we said
He said it somewhere.
and we said it last week that we know that in power there are 3 levels of power in Lagos. We know now.
You heard the speaker now. What he said?
Yes.
The speaker went memory lane.
He was telling him his
Now
CV.
you are yes
He
now.
He was telling him his CV.
When I was a member,
You were still SA.
you were SA. You know,
SA.
he said, look,
He was telling him his CV.
before Abayomi, we had Idris,
We had so many people.
Another, you are still driving a small tire.
When you were at NSDPC,
I was already
speaker. So you can't.
and you know what? There is a situation in which at times when I see barrister or doctor in front of somebody's name, you know what I know some certain lawyers in Nigeria, they never call to bar and they never practice, and they are lawyers and truly they went to school to study law, but they were never called to bar and they never practice.
All right, let's open up.
You know, we used to have a governor in Lagos
Yeah.
who was never elected. He had a nightclub on 𝗵𝗃𝗁𝗁 here.
Well, the governor.
Yeah.
No. I understand it, but
what we do now.
let's open the phone lines. Political Roundtable, Mainland 19.3 FM. We have looked at the NLC saying that a warning strike is coming up Tuesday. Hopefully, we'll see what happens with that. The government has said they are going to meet with them.
We should use the 2 days to stock up.
So
No warning.
So we have looked at that, and of course we've looked at governance in Africa. Why is it that democracy is not working for us, and suddenly we have military coup becoming now very popular among the people? How can we get democracy to work for us? 09136000410. 09136000410. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Fuad. My name is Ambrose.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, 𝗪𝗵𝗁𝗁𝗁 Joseph, and then Barrister Kosi.
Good evening, Oga Ambrose.
Yes,
Where are you calling from this evening, Pastor Ambrose?
I'm calling from Uwe.
All right, please go on, sir.
I join you, Fuad, to say God forbid for Buhari. You see Nigerians have this attitude. Somebody put it on Facebook. He said we're already missing Buhari. I said, what kind of a talk is that? I mean, this is the man that brought all these problems and set a booby trap for this man, and the man fell for it. And you people are saying, was his government any better? On the NLC issue, if you look at the NLC today, you will agree with me that this government, they know the game. So each time NLC wants to go, they know they will go to court, they know how. Now that negotiation, nothing will come out of it. They just want to make sure that NLC don't go on strike. They are dilly-dallying and all of that. On the issue of coup, initially I used to think that military was a better regime, but I sat down one day and I looked at it and I discovered that the problem of this country started immediately Baba IBG took over. That was when the problem of this country started in terms of, corruption, in terms of, seriousness. Let me tell you, if the military will come back today with the time they are open, they will do worse than civilians. But the issue is this: how do we get out these people? Barrister Curtis made a statement and he was just speaking my mind. The people themselves are the reason. Look at what happened in Lagos. They didn't allow people to have free and credible election. They were saying that one person goes to justice and one person. So until when Nigerians are ready, people, let me tell you, the other day I was discussing in my church and a lot of people said, I hate this man. I said, look, you cannot be weeping a child and you say the child should not cry. If I think because Nigerians are suffering and you are telling me I hate somebody, what concern me with who is here? Is it not for us to have good governance? There is true. Nigerians, what this president is doing.
All right, thank you, Pastor Ambrose.
Yes, let me quickly round up. He's giving governors money.
10 seconds, please.
And
10 seconds.
He's giving governors money to give to chairman so that at the end of the day, the money, they will prevent any form of, arrest. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Pastor Ambrose from 𝗏0913600041. Hello, good evening.
Good evening to the family in the studio.
Good evening, Ms. Wise.
Thank you. God bless all of you. You see,
where are you calling from this evening?
I'm calling you right from Amuwadofin.
All right, sir.
The African leader, they do have problems. Some of them, they don't know how to say good night and what we are facing today. Now, come to Nigeria. The Nigeria Labour Congress is not go on strike. That's not the issue now. The best thing to do is to see with government, ask questions. When you talk about refinery, how many percentage completion, all those things. For agriculture, ask people to do it. You have to see that together because all these things, law reform. But you not talk of corruption in this country, it will not have got us to where we are today. Oh, the politicians, the civil servant, the banker, the artisan, the trader, law reform. Including the better bar. Look what happened to them of recent. When they were categorizing themselves in the public. That is the barrister, all the barristers. So all the law reform, we have to change our attitude in this country.
All right, please,
because we only talk of politicians. What of we? What of all of us? Look what is going on now. When you speak to one black to take you to the right place, he refuses. Is it the government that come and do it? If it will perform guilty. And it's I don't know big pay that salary, the allowance is not big. So all of what we are for, we have to change.
All right, thank you, Prince White.
I think what Ms. White needs to know is that it's government that control these people. And if they are not doing their work well and people report, government should punish them
all right.
for not doing
Hello,
their
good
job.
evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, your name, sir? And where are you calling from?
I am Joseph. Good evening, everybody in the house.
Where are you calling from, Joseph?
Yeah, I am calling you from 𝗪𝗏𝗃,
Okay.
Ajah.
All right. Please go on, sir.
I want to mention three things that is affecting this country and Africa. If you believe me, you see, number one, why Nigeria is sinking down is because of our judiciary. The judiciary are too corrupt, the politicians. You see, when the judiciary, one politician is allowed, the wrong politician is allowed to take over the aim of affairs of this country, then anything is bound to happen. And that is why the country is sinking down today. From Senator, National Assembly, governors, presidents, they are all wrong politicians that does not win election, what are they doing in that position today? But because they are allowed by the judiciary. Two, I don't want to talk much about Nigeria Labour Congress. They should go and sit down. They are just running mouth. No. Three, African leaders, ECOWAS, they are very, very, let me not just use other words.
Okay, you are ready.
Where were they when all these 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 syndrome presidents are still in their various countries?
All right, Joseph.
Why were they allowed?
All right.
50 years, 40 years?
All right. We've gotten your contribution to the show. 09136000410. We're still streaming the show live, so you can drop your comments or contributions. We'll take 2 more calls, and then we'll go to our Facebook platform and YouTube platform to take the messages we have there. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody in the studio.
Good evening.
Yes, you guys are doing a great job, and thank you for the government lecturing this evening. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Your name and location, sir?
I'm Austin, calling from I'm Austin.
Okay, from
yes,
all right.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I want to answer. I believe that democracy is not really the best system of government, not really the best per se. There are other systems. And my question is, if democracy is not really working for us, can't we change the system? Can't we change to other system?
Like what?
Other system of government. Like, okay, example now, let me use the Asian continent now. They are not all Asian continents are using democracy. So adopt something else than democracy. If at all it's not working. That's my question.
Right. Thank you, Austin.
We're doing it right. Well, parliamentary system is also a democracy.
You have to vote for people, yeah.
Even the China that people talk about has not been a
There's
democratic
a party.
country.
Yes,
there's
a communist party there.
And then they have a group called the Political where they elect
conduct elections. Yeah,
conduct elections. So I think what he's saying is we should tweak it to something
make it
that
work
can
for
work
us.
This system is just too expensive for our economy.
Yes.
We are just spending money to just maintain
recycle people who just
in power.
Right.
You know.
09136000410. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yeah, this is 𝗪𝗵𝘁𝗃 calling from Alagbado.
Please go on, sir.
I love your program. This is my first time of joining this kind of program.
All right, you're welcome to the family.
Thank you, sir. God bless you for all your analysis.
Thank you, sir.
But in the case of this Nigeria that we have found ourselves in, it is a case of disunity that is the problem that we have in this Nigeria before even corruption. See, let me tell you, you have made a point in the Kigali that one person came and took over and repaired everything. But here we don't see ourselves as one. Somebody can, we are quick to point at the person that has destroyed Nigeria up to this state that we have found ourselves. But we cannot say, oh, let's measure.
Hello, Emmanuel. Okay. I think let's just take the messages we have on our Facebook platform. There's a lot of messages here. Let's just start to take them. We have 𝗪𝗪𝗁𝗃𝗃 𝗪𝗴𝗃 we saying, please, you people should be sharing your topic of discussion here on Facebook so that we can contribute our own quota. Well, we've done that. We have Benson Richie who is saying, good evening, my great people. Well done. Then 𝗵𝗵𝗁𝗃𝗃 Tunde Didon. He's saying, good evening, house. The first thing I want to say about is a silent increment in electricity tariff. I do use 10K a month before, but I've almost finished 20K and it's all not up to a month. I want to know if it's only my side because
it's only your side.
Well, I don't know.
It's only general.
You know,
secretly, they've done it twice.
Democratic dividend.
They've done it twice.
Well, Dada is saying, good evening, all. All I want to ask is, are we doing democracy in Nigeria? The election that took place in Lagos, both presidential and governorship, is that election where 𝗪𝗪𝗁𝗃𝗃 intimidation and vote buying took place, where journalists were attacked, police look the other way. INEC disenfranchised many voters by getting voters card 𝗹𝗀𝗁 killed because of election. We have a dictator Democrats. Also look at NSAS, the rulers being above the law. Is that democracy? If judiciary doesn't get it right, like 𝗵𝗵𝘁𝗀𝗏 𝗪𝗏 say one day they will allow, okay, let us stop this name calling.
Yes.
This is radio. We are not, again, we research tell our contributors when you're on radio, it's a public platform.
Yes.
It's unlike when you're on your WhatsApp group in school
Yes.
or your association,
Yes,
you know, so you can at least be more discreet with your choice of words. But thank you so much, Dada, for the message. We have 𝗪𝗏𝘁𝗃 𝗪𝗏𝗁. We're saying by the time that all of us develop sanity and become conscious of what we really want, then we will have the best of us ruling us. We have 𝗬𝗶𝗰𝗄𝗏 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗐. We're saying our own democracy is faulty and moribund. It's government of the cabals for the cabals and by the cabals. The worst of us ruling the best of us. Labour should sing another song, try another method, and bring up new tactics to fight the excesses of government. Then we have Prince Leo Ozoma, who is saying, I think the best leader to be emulated in Africa is the late Nelson Mandela of South Africa. Unfortunately, unfortunately, no leader in Africa is ready to emulate him because of their wicked selfishness in equipping themselves, their children, and their cronies to the detriment of Africans. Africans can change this ugly narrative if only they can unanimously resolve in unity to bring back power to themselves. Leo Ozoma from Lagos sent in that. I think that's well put. We have Sean Johnson, who is saying, good evening, House. Democracy can only and will only work when we start to stand against the mentality. If you cannot beat them, join them. We actually have good people that can make Nigeria work, but only one person or few persons cannot do it against over 1,000 bad persons. Finally, if we also can defeat the entitlement mentality, then Nigeria and Africa can be great again. We have Ofuwa Muritala, who is saying it will become a norm because African leaders are ingrate and greedy. Where is Awo, Nkrumah, and others? I come in peace from Busy Brain and Academy, Okokomaiko, Lagos. So you can still drop your message on our Facebook platform, and that's Mainland FM 98.3, and also on our YouTube platform. I think we have some messages on YouTube. We have 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃, who is saying, God bless you, my panelists. A lot is wrong with Africa and Nigeria in particular. The worst is ruling the best. We are at the brink. NLC should do their best because if in an organized democracy, only God knows what will happen. You know. So, okay, I think I'll try to piece the message together. You can still drop your message on our Facebook platform. I think more messages are dropped. Let's just take more calls and then we'll come back to taking our Facebook messages. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Hi, I'm 𝗪𝗏𝗪 from Abeokuta.
Yes.
I greet our guests.
Good evening, sir.
For me, I think NLC is not ranting, just ranting. They are very careful to probably choose the way out. And that's why they said they wanted to do a 2-day warning strike. And let me tell those people that are saying that they are no more coherent. I think for once, we are going to see an NLC that will give these people...
Kayode, are you a member of the NLC?
You said what?
Are you a member of the NLC?
I'm a comrade in my place of work.
Okay, all right.
Are you with me?
All right, all right.
So I am always with them. And for the leadership, I'm telling you, we have not gotten any true leadership at all. We will bring followers into leadership. And that's exactly what is on doing, even not only Nigeria, but elsewhere, along the north length and breadth of Africa. Let me put it that way. And you see, if you can only make yourself increasingly unnecessary so that people will not depend on you, will make a way, you will have made some kind of point, expressing yourself fully, killing self, are you with me?
I'm with you.
It is just because these people can't stand on their own integrity and strength, and that is the reason why we are today. And I want to ask people to go and buy more food at home. I don't know whether people get money, but at the same time, we can even do charity among ourselves now, so that these people will require them to stand still for at least for once.
All right.
And finally, let me put it this way, sir. Is it yet that we will continue to suffer, and some people among us, selfish people among us, will be saying, be patient. just like those people in leadership is saying, 𝗬𝗪𝗁 your best. I think we need to correct our notion, ourselves, that look, we cannot continue like this. Let's push these people away from all these falsehoods, all these bad leadership tendencies.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, 𝗪𝗪𝗁. 09136 Hello, good evening. All right, I think let's just take these messages on. Okay, hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening,
Mr. Fuhad.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everybody in the studio. This is Tayo calling from Oba.
All right, Tayo, please go on.
Mr. Folosho, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I saw Ajero and Mr. Falana on whatever. If we want to enjoy our democracy or whatever, the judiciary is our problem. The judiciary. When the budget was being passed last November, and subsidy was not made provision for in that budget. How come where were the labor? Why can't they shut the country down then? Why? When before 2012 they have been crying there is corruption in the subsidy. I don't know, 𝗀𝗀𝗁 or whatever. I didn't know the tankers. I didn't know the one driving the tankers that is taking our PMS out of this country. Are they not part of labor? Even if they are not part of labor. How come the labor did not tell the government, stop this corruption, or we shut down the country, not to cancel the subsidy? It's the judiciary. That is the problem. He said there are 3 states where they have pension. They build a house for them in one place. They build for them in Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt, and I think 𝗵𝗂𝗏. A lawyer, Femi Falana, saying that, can you please bring him to this program? I want to face him. The Constitution, as bad as it is today, gives the judiciary power to declare any law passed unconstitutional. How come they did, when that thing was passed, Mr. Fuhad, we have all civil cases. Any matter before the court is civil case, in a civil matter, it is either de facto or de jure. The one Nigeria will call the jury.
All right.
De facto.
Because of time, I think you've gotten your message. You need to round up.
What I'm trying to tell you is that a budget is a matter of law. They don't have to serve anybody. A lawyer will just walk into any state or federal high court. This law that is gazetted, they declare it unconstitutional.
All right, thank you, Tayo. Let's just take. Let's just take the Facebook messages we have now. We have Bola Tito Ashimiyu Olaiwola. We're saying, good evening, Mr. Fuhad and the guests in the house. You remember when David Cameron was asking former President Buhari that, are you still contesting after he has won his second election? Africa leaders' mentality is completely different from that of Europeans. Adede Yemi is saying, NLC are fighting the wrong fight. They need to ask for things that will have effect on the general masses. They should ask for price control on goods, and also ask for functional refineries and so on. We have Binu 𝗀𝗀𝗁 𝗀𝗏 who is saying, good evening, House. Please tell Tinubu to return subsidy and work on the corruption around it so the poor can breathe for real. We have 𝗵𝗶𝗁𝗵𝗂𝗏 who is saying, democracy is the best system of government ever. It is the way some selfish leaders in Africa have messed it up. How come on earth a single family will rule for almost 60 years plus without benefits to the citizens? Gabon on my mind. See, this is not how the great philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, George Washington defined democracy. Even if some of us who are real Democrats are not okay with army takeover in this country, but the leaders in Africa too should do the needful by playing to the rules of democracy. Give good government to your people, army won't interfere. And lastly, let the NLC still have patience with the government of 𝗪𝗪𝗁. I'm assuring all Nigerians, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will never disappoint us, inshallah. 𝗪𝗪𝗁𝗵𝗁 from Sabo Ijewu Oniba in Ojo. Can we sneak in one more call and then? Okay, all right. My producer has told me that we cannot take any more call. Jonathan Martin 𝗃𝗃 is saying it is well with us in this country. We say amen to that. All right. Barrister Curtis, your final take on the show this evening.
Leadership is critical to the rise or fall of any nation. 100 years ago, the Prussian and Australian army invaded the country called Denmark, destroyed everything. Soldiers came back from the war, broken. So many committed suicide. Now, two men, one a general, the other a pastor, began a campaign. The pastor started telling the people to love God, love Denmark, and make the best of what they have. The general told them, even though our land, the Holstein area, which is the most fertile, had been taken from us, let's make
what we have.
Each time they tried to use the land, it wouldn't work for them until somebody came up with the idea of planting those tall oak, that can prevent the wind from coming to destroy their crops. I speak to you today, Denmark is a better country than the United States of America. They have the highest per capita income for their citizens.
Yes.
So
just for the vision of some people.
Of just two
people.
Two men. We don't need a village to make this country great. We only need few people in strategic positions who are prepared to live for causes greater than them. And our role as citizens, as occupying the office of the citizen, is to look for these men and encourage them. That's it.
All right. Before you come in, we got a message here from Peter from Alagbado. We say, Mr. Fuhad, I like your analysis. Let you and your guys in the studio go into politics and change things. Talk is cheap. Peter from Alagbado. And like we always say, we have our role to play.
We are already playing
as
our
the fourth estate of the realm, we are playing our role. Governance is not just about going into politics. When you inform the people and set the agenda, you're also contributing to nation building. Now, Nuruddin, I go your final take on the show this evening.
Well, I will use Tony Radia's quotes. He said, democracy is not a matter for claims. Rather, it is a system of government which must be based on freedom and policies of equality. What is important there is this: the politicians of today should remember that Nigeria is greater than them.
All right, they should remember Nigeria is greater than them and look for greater causes that are also bigger than them. Joseph Olonso, your final take.
Well, my final take is to speak to the governor of Lagos State. In less than 4 years, we will no longer be governor of Lagos State. How is he going to look at Lagos State? Is it the way things are going in Lagos State? He just have to.
He needs to step up.
He should not be looking at Abuja because the city boy is now a Abuja person. Then he need to sit down in Lagos and do the right thing. Then the last one is, I think the other media house should queue behind mainland FM. If Labour will not give us what we want, if civil society will not give us what we want, the media is very important now to actually put these guys on their toes.
Well, the media is, I'm sure the media is doing the best that they can do. As a fourth estate of the realm, we're informing the people who are setting the agenda and bringing up conversations like this. We are hopeful that Nigeria will be great again. This is where we call it a day on Political Roundtable, mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Saheed Fuhad. Let's do this again next week.
Yeah, 98.3 mainland FM.